Welcome to The Nation. I'm Jessie CHAHAL. Dr. Jane Goodall's work has long shown the power of compassion, courage and action. Those are values that continue to inspire young people all across the globe. Today we look at how these lessons are being carried forward by youth here in Malaysia. And we're lucky because joining us today is the President of Roots and Shoots Malaysia, TP Lim. TP, welcome and thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon as we talk about Dr. Jane Goodall's wonderful work and of course how everyone has underscored her legacy of hope. She's known worldwide for her work, of course, you know, with her involvement and her close relationship that she had with the chimpanzees, but also then for protecting the environment. She had deep love for that and she had a vision that she set out for that as well. Briefly walk us through and share why her legacy is so important to young people today.
Sure, thank you very much for having me. Dr. Jane, for many of us, is this amazingly beautiful blonde girl that we see on the front cover of the National Geographic magazines.
Correct.
But she passed on last year in October at the age of 91. She worked until the very last day of her life. In fact, the next day, there were 1,000 students waiting for her for a public talk. Mm-hmm. So she really lived to the last moment and worked to the last day of her life, which was something she wanted. And she passed peacefully in her sleep. Going back to your question, what's the legacy for Jane for Malaysia? I think it's her message of hope, but her definition of hope is a verb, it's an action word. Hope is not something that just sits in your heart and you just look to the sky and say, hope, peace, help. Mm-hmm. No, hope for her is about taking action. It's about rolling your sleeves up and really doing the things that needs to be done in order for your hope to become a reality.
So that concept of really taking matters into one's hands and taking action on that instead of just wishful hopes, wishful thinking, as they say. You had the opportunity to meet her in person and then you continued to interact with her year on year until it came a point where you founded and launched with, of course, Dr. Jane's blessings and guidance, Roots and Shoots Malaysia. Walk us through what that was like, because as I understand it, it was your persistence that really, got her blessings for the Malaysian chapter.
It's true, it's true. I was a stalker, literally. I met her because I was volunteering in Taiwan for another event where she was having a dialogue with actually a meditation teacher who happened to be my teacher. So I was moderating that event, and at the end of the event, and having heard what Jane said, I thought to myself, how lovely it would be to have her in Malaysia to share the same message. And so I asked her, I said, Dr. Jane, will you come to Malaysia? And she said, yeah, sure. And then she scribbled on a piece of paper, here's my people, contact them and see if we can slot you in. And fast forward 6 years later, finally, she showed up in Malaysia. So in between, what happened? The stalking happened. I kind of
quote unquote stalking, okay?
Because it's unashamed stalking.
Right.
So what happened was every time she was close by to Malaysia, like in Singapore or Hong Kong, I would go there and attend the talk because I'm always inspired by that. But more importantly, I'll be like, hey, Jane, remember Malaysia? And so literally I did that for 6 years, and on the 6th year we finally managed to find a slot in her schedule, and she said, okay, I'll come to Malaysia, but on one condition, which is you have to set up the Roots and Shoots program in Malaysia so that she had somebody to talk to, there was an audience, and it was worth her time to spend here, which is what I did.
And yes, what you did, and you of course agreed and spearheaded that effort. This takes us back to the late 2000s. Why did you think at that point it was important for Malaysia to have Roots and Shoots, and why you agreed to go all the way with it?
Well, amongst other things, I think Malaysia, just like many other developing countries at the time, had many challenges with regards to protecting our natural environment. So that's one piece. And more importantly, and this is something that maybe not many people know about Dr. Jane, she's also the UN Messenger of Peace. So she's all about building up peace amongst people of all nations and all races and all cultures. And so amongst the different messages that she shared, there was a very strong sense of let's protect the environment together, because the earth is shared by all of humanity, regardless of race, creed, culture, social status, etc. And I thought that that message was very suitable, and at that time probably very much needed in Malaysia and in our region, with all the turmoil and the challenges in the ASEAN country at the time. So those were the motivations for why I thought, please, Jane, if you'd come to Malaysia, that would be very, very much appreciated by our people. But also, I was hoping that the seeds of hope and seeds of peace would be planted in Malaysia.
Well, at the heart of Roots and Shoots, it is a program or a movement that empowers young people to initiate or get started on projects that benefit not just people but animals and the environment as well. What is that movement like here in Malaysia? What have we seen Roots and Shoots accomplish in the past years?
Well, the great news about Malaysia actually is that we have so many talented young people and also people with a great deal of passion who want to help the environment, help animals, and help human communities. So there's no shortage of non-profit organizations, NGOs, that are active in pursuing different goals to help these different sectors, right? Whether it's human, animal, or the environment. So when we came to Malaysia, the first thing that Jane spoke to me about was, she said, we're here to build bridges, not walls, right?
What does she mean by that?
Well, she's aware that Jane Goodall is a big brand, right? And so whenever you have a big brand come to a new country, she was worried that we might be a little bit scary, a little bit threatening to the local partners. And so she said, look, we're here to build bridges, and so let's really speak to the people who are already active in these areas and find out how we can work with them and not in competition with them. It's actually work with them. And so that's what we have been doing actually for the past 11 years. We have a program called the Roots and Shoots Malaysia Award, where we essentially work with 40 NGOs, and we are like the matchmaker. So we recruit young people, we understand their CVs and their skill sets, and then we match them up with local NGOs so that we literally send people to work at local NGOs, because we realize that many NGOs are so busy doing the work on the ground, they don't really have time to go and recruit volunteers or so that we realized that was a gap that we were filling, and we've done that now for the past 7 years, with the support of Yayasan Hasana, with the support of the Habitat Foundation. So this program actually has been quite successful. If we can say that, is because what we've managed to do is create job opportunities for all these young volunteers who either gained clarity about what they want to do later in life because of the experience working with the NGOs, or a good number of them actually got hired by the NGOs that they volunteered with. So we realized, okay, so this is one way that we are building bridges and building a kind of ecosystem of help and caring for each other. So that's one example of a program we're doing in Malaysia. Another one we are quite active now is in Perlis. So Perlis being a fairly, shall I say, rural state with primarily agricultural activities. So many of the young people have had to come out of the state to look for work in the bigger cities because opportunities are not seen as sufficient in the state itself. But what we've discovered is that this place is amazing for ecotourism, right? And people are now, especially after COVID, really seeking out for opportunities to be closer to nature. And so we've developed a documentary, we've developed a book, and now we are working with other partners to train local people to become tour guides. And but we kind of share with them ideas about biodiversity, about the concepts of protecting nature and the environment. So these nature guides are then also able to make an income from their work, but they become the stewards as well as the educationalists for their states. So this is working out quite nicely, and a lot of young people are now going back because they're excited about this type of work.
Yeah, what really excites me about all of this is that it really puts a young person at or in the
Front and
driver's seat.
center.
That's right, and they can then pursue or trailblaze any projects that are close to their hearts, further being a change maker, because we always talk about empowering the youth, but this is really walking that talk. Very recently, there was a program. It's called Jane's Day of Hope that's just taken place. How did this event reflect Dr. Jane's overall vision of empowering youth to make a positive difference?
Thank you for asking that question, because Dr. Jane passed, like I said, October of last year, and we wanted to find a way to commemorate her. We have so many of Dr. Jane's friends and supporters here in Malaysia, and we wanted to gather them together and share a day remembering Jane, right? But we didn't want to sit around and be sad, right? And that's really not Jane's style. And so we thought, okay, we're having a gathering, let's turn it to Day of Hope, right? So it's called Jane's Day of Hope rather than Jane's Day of Sadness, right? And so what we did was we worked with our partners. These are longtime partners of ours, Pet Finder being the head partner for our activities with animals. So we did a recruitment for adoption for 91 animals representing 91 years of Dr. Jane's life. So it became an opportunity for all these cats and dogs to find new homes. And then also we got our young volunteers to put up booths to talk about the activities that they have been doing. Like you said quite accurately, these are programs that they decided they wanted to do. So whether it is promoting awareness about women in STEM, whether it is promoting about biodiversity in Perlis, promoting the awareness about fast fashion, etc., etc. So we had workshops, booths, animal adoption, and then we showcase all of our past documentaries and also some of Dr. Jane's messages that she had recorded for Malaysia. So many of these reflecting different ways that hope is put into action in Malaysia.
How do you get the young people, or as we will call them, the youth, involved in caring for animals, for them to subscribe to want to care for the environment? Because there is this duality, there's this progress and technology, and we're living in a fast forward mode all the time, that we don't have time to stop and pause and care for anything or anyone else. But then there's also the flip side that is true. There are very many youth are choosing to slow down and to smell the roses and to stop and lend a helping hand.
I think we learned this from Jane. Jane is always sharing with us that the best way to convince somebody is not through the head. A lot of times we're like, you should do this because of these reasons. She said, that usually doesn't work. She says, in order to convince somebody, you have to touch their hearts. And the way to touch their hearts is through stories. And so the approach that we adopt right across all of our activities, whether it's documentary making, book making, or running programs, is we infuse it with lots and lots of stories. So for example, Jane loves to talk about the animals that she got to know quite personally. There's a parrot that knows more than 1,000 words, and she will talk about how the parrot has a chit chat with her. This parrot that has never seen her before has the ability to use 1,000 distinct words in the right context. The first time they met, apparently, she's been watching Jane on TV. So the parrot saw Jane come into the room, and then the first thing the parrot said was, "Hi Jane, got a chimp?" Right? So once you hear this story, then you think, oh, okay, maybe a parrot is capable of a lot more than just sitting there and looking pretty. Maybe it has personality, it has the ability to think and feel, and anybody who has a cat or a dog will know that your pet has a personality, has the ability to feel pain and sorrow, right? So once you connect the story into the heart, going back to your question, how do you make young people care about animals? This is how you make them care about animals. You make them understand through storytelling that actually these animals are sentient beings with feelings and hopes of their own and the ability to enjoy happiness, enjoy things like that. Yeah.
Going back to kindness and humanity, that really is and should be at the core of our lives. Jane shared so much of her personality and her love with the world. Can we all be like Jane? Is there a Jane in all of us?
I think it will be hard to get another Jane, but I think we can all learn to become a little bit like Jane in some manner or form. Jane always says, this is a famous quote, she says, every day we live, we make a difference in the world. And we can choose what kind of difference we want to make, right? So she's all about choosing on a daily basis to do a little bit better, you know, whether in the way that you deal with your rubbish, in the way that you interact with your neighbor, in the way that you engage with your child, right? Just do a little bit better each day, and cumulatively, when many of us try to do a little bit better, the world becomes that much better.
Absolutely, and that's of course what we need in the world today. What would you say are some of the lasting engagements that Roots and Shoots has been involved with that has really been a game changer, or perhaps even for the year ahead of us, some of the programs that you think is going to be very interesting for youth to be involved in?
Well, we are now developing cross-border relationships. So we have a project that we are working with Satun of Thailand. So this is in south of Thailand. So this is important. And I guess it's a great milestone for Roots and Shoots Malaysia, because this will be the first time that we are actually engaging the youths of Malaysia with the youths of Thailand. And I think the best way to build friendship and a feeling of camaraderie and a feeling of caring for each other is to build bridges, to make friendships with people on the other side, so to speak. So in this case, Malaysia, Roots and Shoots is having our first cross-border activity with Satun in Thailand. That's one piece. Another one is the ongoing development of the LAAXMI program, the Roots and Shoots Malaysia Award. So, you know, we'd love to encourage your viewers, if you are aged between 16 to 30, just watch out, you know, follow Roots and Shoots on Instagram and Facebook. We will be announcing new programs for volunteer opportunities, which then leads to mentorship, which then leads to opportunities for you to have a chance to work in one of the many Roots and Shoots chapters outside of Malaysia. So many of these new opportunities are coming up because of the amazing work that's being done by local Malaysian youths, but we're also very grateful to all of our sponsors and our supporters in Malaysia, both from the corporate side as well as individuals who have a big heart.
Absolutely. It's not just been uplifting, but also inspiring to hear the good work that has gone, at Roots and Shoots, as well as what is under the Jane Goodall Institute, more so because it promotes compassion and respect for all living things. I've got to underscore the word all living things, and not just a human, because we have to interact with our environment as well. But also very importantly is about the understanding that is something that comes out of this, and I think that becomes such a strong bond to move forward in terms of empowering the youth to create that positive change. What would you like to say to the youth who want to make a difference, don't know where to start?
Well, first and foremost, look out for our social media and follow us, because we have so many amazing opportunities for young people to sign on as a volunteer. And these volunteer programs are not just the usual come see us on a certain day and do work for a few hours. Right. You actually get to stay in the jungle, you actually hang out with the sun bears, you actually get to feed the wild turtles, you actually get to set up camera traps, and hopefully you might find a tiger or a tapir. This is really cool stuff, right?
It is.
Yeah, so, you and I think if we were younger, we could be on this program.
I would be signing up right now,
yeah.
Yes.
So look out for...
Don't miss out,
yes,
kids.
Look out for our handle, and, look us up. And also, we are starting to have more and more activities in Sabah and Sarawak as well, which is also incredibly exciting. There's one, actually, just because you were talking about what are the new things. So there's one new program that we're doing called the Sepilok Jazz Festival.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So the Jazz Festival is in aid of turtle protection in Sabah. But we have a new collaboration with the organizer for the Jazz Festival for us young people, myself and you included, for young people to be able to volunteer at the Jazz Festival in the capacity of taking the attendees to visit the sanctuaries and introduce them to the biodiversity of Sabah. Right? So that's how young people can get involved, but also do something cool and enjoy some music, you know. So that's how we need to engage young people. You asked the question, how do we get them excited? We do fun things, we do exciting things they can't do in school or at home, but at the same time, it's all infused with very, very strong science and strong education for them that will help them not only in terms of their technical knowledge, but also make them a better, more caring, more confident human being when they come out to the world.
Absolutely. Good work can be good fun, right?
Yes.
How have you seen these lessons being applied by youth in their daily lives, in their academic lives? Because, you know, it's all well and good, but reality must also kick in at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the great news about those of you, young people who are interested in conservation, in issues of sustainability, these areas, sustainability, conservation, you know, ESG, these are now big topics. And as you know, corporate Malaysia is very much picking up all of these areas as vital for their business.
Which is where you're seeing a lot of support come through from
the corporations as
well.
But more importantly, whilst the corporates are looking for talent to help them do their sustainability, do their ESG, do their conservation work, the young people have amazing career prospects as a result, right? There's a demand now. So the supply of young people is very much in shortage at the moment, right? There are many lawyers, accountants, doctors, you know, well-trained individuals in Malaysia, but how many of our friends do we know who's like, oh, I'm an expert in sustainability? But now is a good time to be an expert in sustainability because there are huge opportunities for young people to get into this field.
And here's food for thought. Why not try to see or explore how even AI can get into this game to improve sustainability, to improve our environment, and to protect our furry friends who can't speak for themselves.
A case in point, you know, so we've been collecting sounds from the rainforest because we want to understand, you know, what's going on in the rainforest.
Right.
Now, AI is now able to decipher from the various sounds that's collected what species is actually in that forest.
Amazing.
Right? I mean, there's just one of multiple ways that AI is able to really make a difference. So definitely, if it doesn't matter if you're a scientist, you're an artist, you're into humanities, you're into language, you can also get into sustainability and have something to contribute and have an amazing career for the future.
Thank you so much for making that clear, because I think a lot of times we tend to box ourselves. I'm this and I'm only that. But when you talk about the environment, you talk about the world around us, every human can subscribe to this. What would you say, or what would your advice be to those inspired to now take the first step?
Well, I want to share with you what Dr. Jane's mom shared with her, which is, if you have a dream, go for it. Take advantage of opportunities that come up. And the last one, very important, and never give up. So those were specific advice given by Jane's mom to her, which she totally subscribed to, and she's been sharing around the world with all the young people to say, if you have a dream, go for it, work hard, take advantage of opportunities, and don't give up.
And don't give up. Well, thank you very much for coming in here and sharing Jane Goodall's vision, her hope and her love for the world. And thank you for continuing to do that great work, as well as inviting the youth of our nation to be part of that. From protecting nature to uplifting communities, the lessons of Dr. Jane Goodall reminds us that meaningful change often begins with young people. And when youth are empowered with purpose and value, their impact can reach far beyond their own generation. I'm Jessie Chahal. This has been The Nation. Thank you for watching, and do join me again for more in-depth conversations on issues that truly matter. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Pernah gagal tak?
Pernah gagal, you can